Ni hao, dear Rauta viewers. So, the so-called YouTube purge about Thulan perspective and all that stuff is probably a little settled down by now, as it is a couple of weeks ago when it took place. Um, as of now, I don't know how it's gonna play out because actually I'm filming this right the same day or during the same night when my video of the topic was just released. And that got me started thinking when I was reading your comments, dear viewers. Thank you for them, by the way. I truly appreciate them. You had a lot of interesting points, or at least some of you had. It was interesting to read how some of you are filled with conspiracy theories, how some of you don't just understand the difference between government-driven things and corporation-driven things. And some of you actually seem, I guess, open your eyes. Doesn't matter if you agreed or disagreed with me, because I mean that's how conversations end up going, having a little bit disagreements as well. But this kind of gave me the spark to do this video, and now I'm gonna be a little bit more nasty. If I was there kind of like, laid back and just saying like, okay, too bad this happened with walk weakness and all that stuff. Now I'm gonna get into serious mode, as serious I can be. So this calls for yet another beer. Today we'll be having a Laitilan Napa New England IPA India Pale Ale. That is. So let's get the engine started with some beer and call for today's topic. And that is how nowadays metalheads are bunch of pussies. Yes, you heard me right. Why so? Because you're so goddamn bothered, offended, and whatnot by this so-called YouTube purge, and how you seem to think that this is like a big deal. Now, let's talk about some older metalheads and see how it was back in the 80s and 90s, and we see that this whole Varivikeerness or Burzum Thulan perspective case has nothing, absolutely nothing when compared to the 80s. Some people following the channel are probably too understand, even know, or even remember, even if they would know how it was back in the days. Now, obviously, I was a kid back in the 80s as well. I'm born 1975, if that needs to be mentioned here, so I'm kind of an old fart. But I still remember how it was back in the 80s. Now, to clear what I'm talking about here, let's make it clear. Now, we have to understand that if you didn't follow what was going on with Varivikeerness video with the Thulan perspective and those other channels being purged or other videos being removed or at least hidden with YouTube, the case is this. Some of the material was decided or judged like unfit for YouTube for various topics. Maybe it was hate speech, maybe it was other. And some people are like, okay, this is big deal. Some people behind the powers that be or behind the company policies or whatever, they're like censoring, and it's big deal. This is a big impact on metal and all that stuff. Piss off. This is like nothing how it was back in the 80s and 90s. So one channel was basically shut down. Some random videos here and there were removed because they got this kind of like badass content. Okay, fine, you can see the problem there. Nobody likes censorship. Well, except for some social justice warriors. I'm all for the free speech. I'm all about expressing your art, your opinions, whatever. I don't care if you're right or left or from the fucking moon. And I don't care if you swear, if you have some really ill manners. I mean, you don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but I can still get in a conversation with you, at least on my behalf. That's not the point here. The point is here that so what if a channel got removed? It's not like this person's or even channel's freedom of speech got removed. And it has nothing, absolutely nothing, on metal. Nothing changes with that. So what if some bands or individual videos got removed from YouTube because of this purge? Will that stop sales? No. Will it affect some gigs like cancelled or tours or festivals? Probably not. I mean, this is all just, getting rid of some filth or whatever you want to use for this, paying customers things. They have this saying, when you pay the piper, you make the call for the songs to be played. So if you are using this particular service known as YouTube, you just have to live with it or maybe move someplace else. So what is this rant all about then? Why am I calling this generation of metalheads bunch of pussies and all that stuff? Well, the thing is, if you were around back in the 80s or 90s, you would probably remember how much more brutal it was back then. Do you remember these stickers like parental advisory explicit lyrics? Yeah, just those stickers didn't mean much, right? But can you, for example, remember bands such as Cannibal Corpse, Imbel Nazarene, Rotting Christ, etc. to be banned? If you don't, then you are missing the whole point here. Now, because of these bands had some, or still have at least, have some questionable content, be it the name of the band, Rotting Christ, come on, it's fearful, or Imbel Nazarene for that matter, or some cover art, think of Cannibal Corpse, some bad ass lyrics, think of, once again, Cannibal Corpse or Imbel Nazarene, or some other bands that had these. They were banned. You were not even able to sell those records because it was banned. For example, in Germany. So now we have this put into perspective, how different it was back in the 90s. It's not like some band just got, removed from YouTube. They had their entire discography up till certain time banned. You were unable to sell those records. So in that respect, banning something from YouTube is like nothing. Or back in the 80s, when bands like Twisted Sister went to court because they were, indictments or whatever. I mean, they were like there to be judged by the court. Like, did they have lyrics or whatever influence to cause somebody to make a suicide? Were they responsible for somebody get killed and all that stuff? Now, Vikernes is not going to a court because he did some, did some videos or said some things on those videos about this and that. Now, all you might have some conspiracy theories, yeah, this will happen, blah, 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 or why Vikernes was that big a threat and they will silence him. I mean, if it was a real threat, and not just him, but just anybody, behind these channels or making these channels, would they just, put a bullet in their head? Or at least incarcerate the person or people? People are bitching about very, very minor problems, if you ask me. Not only that, but like I said, in at least one of the comments, we in the Western world, and by we I mean European American mostly, which I guess makes the most of these channels, we have it so goddamn easy. So people are suddenly crying, sobbing tears and all that stuff because some channels got, removed or hidden. Or even some gig got cancelled because something was said. So it's like, to me, this is like so much a first world problem. For example, if my channel was shut because I said something that somebody doesn't like, of course it's gonna piss me off, it's gonna be annoying, but I mean, is it the end of the world? No. Can I move to some other service? Most def. Will somebody care? I don't think so. I mean, life goes on. So these are also, minor things. Some beer. So my point here kind of is like, it seems like now that we are having this kind of age of internet, we're living this age of social media, every goddamn minor problem becomes a big issue. People on the left, they are making this like seem like everything is right-wing stuff, and whatever. That's a big problem, and everything is like blah blah blah. And people on right, they're doing the same about left. People like me in the middle, I'm not going left, I'm not going right. Not my cup of tea for sure. I'm getting shot at by both people, by both people, both parties, so to speak. So like, it seems like this is like, if you're not with me, you're against me. Like, what the hell? I mean, even some bands might have some dangerous messages. They might have hate speech. So add those stickers. Don't sell them. Whatever. I mean, but as long as it is not, illegal to do that, I don't see that big of a problem. I mean, it's not like suddenly these big, big. It's not something like these underground, small underground bands will come, a big thing, and they will like endanger our future. If you compare all these badass metal bands to some more mainstream, for example, hip hop or rap artists, and by no means don't start another conversation. Oh, that's not even music. That's not even music. I live in Alabama. I can tell you it's not even music. I don't care about genre tastes. That's behind the point. The point here is there are bigger artists doing worse things, and they get just away with it. So why are you bothered with metal? It's gonna cause some things. Things are gonna change. Whatever. It's like these are really, really minor problems. As long as you are able to, for example, buy those CDs, LPs, tapes online, as long as you can stream the music, read the lyrics, discuss these artists without using some badass technology like, I don't know, Tor browser or whatever, you're pretty much safe there. You had that freedom of speech. You can just go on about these rants like whether these extreme bands are extreme left, extreme right, extreme whatever, inhuman, whether they are about murder, violence, rape, war, I don't know what the fuck. But the thing here is, you're free to do that. There is no big problem. But suddenly, some privileged people are like making like this all a big problem. And I don't get it, because to me it seems like we're living better time regarding metal. That is, we're still having Rauta, right? This is not a political chat or whatever. I mean, we're living the best of times. Now you are more able than ever to see your favorite underground band at least someplace. Maybe you need to buy, book a flight and move to a different country to see that artist, but at least it's possible. Even big badass bands like Absurd, for example, they played a gig in Finland a few years ago. And I mean, there were no legal problems. Obviously, they cannot do it in Germany the way they can do it in Finland or other that bands. I mean, I'm not even, taking sides here. I don't simply care. To me, good music is good music. And my ideology, I have some ideas, but I'm not gonna share all of them right here. They are sometimes too bizarre, or sometimes I don't just give a damn. And besides, most of you are not probably even interested in. My point is, eventually, I have lots of points it seems, that we are living kind of like the golden times of metal. More bands are out there than ever before. There are more good albums out there, and we are all pretty much free to listen to that shit. Unless, of course, you live in a goddamn horrible country where metal is forbidden. Then you have a problem. I mean, like, for example, I remember watching this one documentary. I don't even remember the name, but it was about these so-called blackpackers that just traveled to Norway to kind of worship the birthplace of second wave black metal, kind of a Norwegian black metal thing, place where church by Vikernes was burned down, and take photos of the church which was used in the Mystery System Satanas cover and all that stuff. And there was this one guy which actually did pretty decent music as well. Just can't remember the name out of the bat. But I mean, like, he was coming from a Muslim country. He was not allowed to play his music where he was coming from. Now, that is a serious problem. And all our thoughts and prayers should go to people like that. I mean, they are having difficulties with their own country and legislation and all that stuff, and they're still making an effort to do that. I bitched about it before, and most people, I hope by now, already know this. But for example, the black metal thing which was coming from Norway, it was from privileged people, much like in Sweden and Finland. So it's not like we had these hardships than, for example, people in like Latin America. I mean, think of those crazy Brazilians. I mean, they had to do their very, very rebellious underground extreme metal in a country that is like full-blown Catholic country. And there is a lot of corruption and all that stuff. You might get shot because you have some, I don't know, bad t-shirt. Norway, Finland, Sweden, Iceland, we have it all so goddamn easy. And it applies to most of the European countries like Germany, France, United Kingdom, and of course, United States of America as well. Mostly. Of course, there might be some backwoods place or city where you might just get beaten because you have long black hair, you have some inverted cross, or whatever. Doesn't matter if it's Cradle of Filth or Marduk shirt, but you get the point. So, I mean, we have it all so easy. So suddenly this big cry about losing some videos or channels is like, dudes, people were not that sorry asses back in the 80s and 90s. I'm sorry to tell you that. So if you feel a little bit offended, sorry for you. You need to be offended. See ya and take care.